topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Experts, where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I am loving our first expert. We have been together off and on for probably about, I'd say, 8 to 10 years. And, you know, you get a feel for somebody, a trust factor. And in the business that we're going to be talking about this morning, trust is very important. And I have never seen anybody who really and truly wants to help people when it comes time to catching up with the old IRS. And we are hearing a lot of stories out there now about the IRS hiring 85,000 new agents, and they're going after everybody. You do not want to handle this yourself. If you get into a situation, you really need someone that you can trust and you know is really looking out for your best interests. So let me welcome you to the show, my friend, Barry Fowler of Taxation Solutions.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. How are you today?
You know what? It's so easy talking about you, Barry, because we've been doing this long enough to know, I know how much you really care about people and about helping them. And you've got so much in your bag of goodies. So you might not be able to do something in one area, but you've got something that you can help them with in another area. But you go all out. You don't give up. And the most important is you're not afraid of the IRS.
No, not at all. I do appreciate that intro. It's you made me want to call myself here real quick too. We enjoy what we do, and we enjoy fighting against the IRS for our clients and on behalf of everybody that we work for, to get them the best deal possible. It's also fun to school these new agents on what actually is in the Internal Revenue Manual and the Internal Revenue Code, so they get a better understanding and learn how to, service the taxpayers better as well. So, not only are we fighting for, our clients, we're fighting for the future of other taxpayers out there and educating these agents who are new and don't actually know what is happening or what they should be doing. And, they go through their school at the IRS and they're fighting for, they're fighting for the U.S. government. And the government, as you and I both know, are money hungry and trying to grab every dollar possible. And that comes from sometimes these taxpayers that just can't afford to pay the tax debt that the IRS is saying they owe. And we've got to find a solution to get them back on track and become a good taxpayer out there, but also be able to live their life without looking over their shoulder, worrying about whether the IRS is going to take a levy on their bank account, garnish their wages, or put a lien on their house, or even if you're in a small business and you owe back payroll taxes, take and close your business and sell all the assets. And that's not something you as a taxpayer want to live with in any way, shape, or form. And you shouldn't have to.
Barry, we keep hearing a president tell us that we're only going after people who make $400,000 a year or more. That isn't true, is it?
No. I mean, there's only so many people that make over $400,000 a year, but there's millions upon millions that owe back tax debt, and they're going to get these nice, wonderful love letters threatening them. We've seen where they have gone after people that are already retired on Social Security and garnishing part of their Social Security. So you tell me where that $400,000 came from. It's to make everybody feel good, make everybody feel comfortable, and gain votes, because we're not going to go after these people. IRS is commissioned to go out and collect every dime possible from every single taxpayer that owes money. We'd love to say yes, they're not going to go after anybody that's making, under 400,000. But I see it every day where they're coming after taxpayers consistently. And they may only owe 50,000 or 20,000. And I say only because we've seen people that have owed 1.5 million or 2 million or 5 million out there. And, they're still coming after the small people just as much as they are the people that they would consider as rich. So, you got to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, knowing that the IRS is the largest, biggest, baddest collection agency there is in the world. And they carry guns now sometimes too. So you tell me,
I know.
Did they stop them?
Exactly. I got to tell you, Barry has the greatest stories of things that he's done for his clients. And we always enjoy hearing those stories. But my favorite still is that there's times that Barry knows more than these agents. And he has to correct them. And sometimes he even has to go to their supervisor because he knows the law. And believe it or not, all these agents don't know the law completely.
Oh no, and we've had to deal with them and cite the codes to these new revenue agents. Most of the ones that have been around a long time have already moved up and beyond, some of the levels of collections, and they've moved into higher level of audits, or now they're, sitting managers or something. And, these new ones, all they know is they're charged with collecting. We had one the other day who actually was doing the audit for somebody and insistent upon actually sitting down and meeting with my client. And I went, no, I'm representing them. I stepped into their shoes. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to give you the time of day. They don't have to show up. Now, if you want to summons them, they'll show up with me or with one of our enrolled agents that are out there, but they won't say a word other than hi, and Mr. Fowler is representing me. And then that'll be the extent of your conversation with that taxpayer because you summoned them. But there's no reason for that because we're giving you all the information that you need, put in a nice, perfect way for you to follow and understand that they deserve every one of these tax breaks, and the ones that cannot be supported, we're going to concede to you because we know there's sometimes people do things wrong. This guy went ballistic on me, and we had to go over the manager's head to prove the point that, hey, look, we stepped into the shoes of the taxpayer. Leave our taxpayer out of this. Leave our client out of this. And let's get down to the nitty gritty and get this thing resolved. We can get this resolved really quick if you just comply with what's in the Internal Revenue Code, within the Internal Revenue manuals. Read them, understand them. I shouldn't have to teach you this, but I will. And it's the fun part. But this is where we go to bat for you, the taxpayer, that if you're going through an audit, or even if you're owe the IRS $10,000 or more, out there. You shouldn't have to deal with these kind of people. Let us do it. But see, well, you and I have always talked about this. I can't do it unless they actually pick up the phone and call us, engage us, and let us represent them. And it starts with a free consultation. And it's just dialing that simple number, 888-931-1079. Again, 888-931-1079. Pick up the phone and call us. There's no cost to talk about what you're going to do. Matter of fact, there's a good benefit, because if you've called somebody else, a lot of people sell you that pipe dream. Hey, what makes you happy? What makes you tick? I mean, it's like going out and buying a washer and dryer or something, and they're going to sell you all the benefits and not going to tell you, any of the negatives. And they're going to tell you everything you want to hear to make sure you buy it. Well, that's what these guys do. Well, unfortunately, we're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you, hey, look, you have too much equity in your house. You're not going to qualify for that wonderful offer and compromise you've heard on the radio. Or maybe you have too much in your 401ks or IRAs, or you make too much money. Some of these people just won't tell you that fact. But we're going to give you those facts and tell you exactly, hey, this is what we can see that you do. But you got to be honest with us so we can be brutally honest with you. And we'll also tell you, hey, look, this is simple enough. You should just call and set up a payment plan, because you're not going to get much better than doing that. Yes, we could probably get some penalties abated, and maybe that's worth going through and doing it. But we've got to take every situation, every taxpayer, one at a time, and figure out the best scenario for you and the best solution for you. But again, it starts with dialing that number and actually manning up and speaking to one of our agents out there that, standing by waiting to help you. And it's 888-931-1079. Or you just look us up on the web at taxationsolutions.net. We're here for you, but we're also here for your family or friends or anybody else that that has a tax problem anywhere in the country. And even if they're U.S. citizens and outside of this country, we can help them anywhere they're at as well. Even, in another country, we've done it across overseas, people that are there overseas but needing help with tax problems here in the U.S. That's what we're here to do. Is we're here to help you, the taxpayer.
I want to share that. I don't know if Barry will remember this, but it's been probably maybe 10 years ago. We sent a very good friend of ours to Barry, and she came back and said, he is so honest. He told me up front, you don't need my service. And she said, there were so many others out there just trying to take our money. And she said, Barry was just so totally honest with us, explained everything. And this is a very hard woman to please. And she just gave very glowing results. And even though he couldn't do anything for her, at least he told her that. Not everybody is like that. Barry, we just got an email, and we get this all the time. One of our viewers in Channelview, is that down by Galveston?
It's east of Houston.
They want to know, explain what an enrolled agent is.
We do get that question all the time, and we don't talk about it enough. But enrolled agent EA, as you see after my name, is basically a license granted by the U.S. Department of Treasury. You've actually got to go through testing, or some of these IRS agents come out after they've served 5+ years with the IRS, can get that designation as well. Just means that you are an expert in tax. We can actually represent you, the taxpayer, all the way to the highest levels of the IRS. The only thing we can't do is walk into tax court and represent you in tax court. That's reserved still for attorneys and stuff out there to be able to do it. But we've helped people and guided them through getting to tax court and getting them out of tax court, because sometimes it goes through mediation, and we can help you in mediation as well. And we've done that before. I'm going to give you two funny stories, but one, the first one is the young lady that called us that you referred us to. And I remember this because, every now and then we kind of talk about people that you've referred to us and we've
Right.
helped. And we talk about her, but when she was calling, she was calling one of the big companies out there, and they wanted to charge her close to $6,000 or $7,000 for her problem. And we were like, look, don't do it. Here's what you just need to do, because, this can get you out of this, really easy. So do this first. Then if you can't solve that problem, give us a call back, and our fee would be maybe 1/3 or less of that, depending on, where you're at in your situation. So, everybody's situation is different, but, it's one of those that, hey, you can solve a problem, and sometimes it's an easy solution that you just need to handle yourself. So,
Barry, sometimes also it's so important. We're talking about once somebody signs up with you, it's such a large burden off their back, because what you do is you actually make it an even playing field. Because if they're trying to handle it themselves, they could say the wrong thing. They could really mess themselves even more by trying to handle it themselves. Because you get a lot of cases like that, a lot of clients who tried to handle it themselves, screwed it up, and then you have to clean up the mess they made.
Yeah, we don't try to level the playing field. We try to tip that playing field in our favor and in the favor of the taxpayers. I carry a lot of weight, so I step on that scale. We're going to dominate over there. But yes, taxpayers that start trying to solve their problem themselves. Some of them, the IRS will tell you you don't need representation. The IRS is totally wrong. I think you need absolute representation, because what you say to the IRS, even if it's innocently wrong, is like quoting the Bible. It is God's honest truth. And, you make the mistake of making one comment and the IRS runs with it because they now believe you. They don't believe when you tell them that your income's not enough, or tell them you don't have enough assets or anything to pay on it. But as soon as you say, hey, look, I do this, or I make this, or I have this other income coming in, the IRS absolutely believes you. And now we've got to fight to change that around, because you've proven to the IRS just in one statement that you have enough money to pay the taxes that they're saying that you owe. So you kind of got to watch what you say. You got to take a step back. At least when we're representing you, maybe you can full pay, but maybe we have ways or ideas that will use some of that money you pay to the IRS to do different things. Maybe it's a new car. Maybe it's replacing your roof that needs to be replaced on your house. Sometimes you got to fight the IRS because you've used money that should have been paid for the IRS on other things, gambling, maybe that new roof, or maybe, repairs on the house, or maybe something else. And the IRS is going to say, this is a dissipated asset, meaning you've used it instead of paying us and you still owe us. And we're going to try to find ways to get around that and prove the fact that you've had to use this money for this reason. And, they give us the ability to do it, but sometimes the statements you make take that ability away, and we can't get around some of those things. So, if you don't choose us, use somebody that has been in this business a good number of years. Not necessarily, one of the big companies that are out there. And, make sure that they are an enrolled agent and have a proven track record like we do. We guide every one of our enrolled agents to become the best that they can be. A lot of them have jumped from us to going out and running their own business because we have trained them so well at what we do that they decide to get out there and do it on their own or with somebody else, which, hey, I'm all for that. Hey, you're going to be an entrepreneur. You want to get out there and do it. We're going to provide you as much training, and we have highly qualified enrolled agents, even tax attorneys that have worked with us to help guide us through the IRS.
Gary, I hate to do this to people, but there's businesses out there that owe money to the IRS. And if you could share with people the amount of trouble that they can get their company into by not taking care of money they owe the IRS.
Well, the biggest thing is payroll taxes. And I have that second story that I was talking about, and it had to do strictly with payroll taxes. So I'm glad you reminded me about this. There was actually a daycare that we were working with that actually owed about $1.2 million in payroll taxes.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really kind of amazing that they were able to stay in business as long as they did. This took actually a couple of years of representation to get them through all of this. The first part of the representation, we actually set them up on a payment plan, and the IRS kind of went away, but they never paid a dime on that payment plan.
Oh.
So they got themselves in bigger trouble. Unfortunately, we got the same revenue officer back, and now he was coming after them with both barrels of his gun, coming after trust fund penalties on the owners, trying to basically shut them down and put them out of business. But it would have put, hundreds of kids back on the street or finding a new daycare. So we were able to convince this revenue officer to back off, get them started on a payment plan, and they had the money. They could afford to make pretty good payments on this. And then he wanted to go after trust fund penalties. So we worked with our client to quickly pay the trust fund portion of the taxes while we were doing a lot of delays with the revenue officer to get this strung out as long as possible to avoid the trust fund penalties on the owners of the company. And when the revenue officer went to levy the trust funds penalties on them, he was insistent upon still doing it, but there were no trust funds to levy the penalties on. So we had to go to his manager and appeal that he could not do it. And she went, Mr. Fowler, you're absolutely 100% right. We can't levy trust fund penalties on something they've paid the trust fund portion of the taxes off for those years. But we had enough delay that the other 4 years that they owed for, he couldn't assess the trust fund penalties on either because the statute of limitations had run out while we were doing the delays to get these people beyond that so that they could keep their businesses open, keep their houses, and start getting those payroll taxes paid back, over a period of time. So, the little things we do count and add up for each individual taxpayer. And as I said, everybody's situation is different, but you've got to start out with that phone call. And I hate to always repeat numbers, but I'm getting better at this. We've been doing this a long time. You'd think I would know how to do this, right? And it's 888-931-1079, 888-931-1079. And, an example, we've had a daycare out here in Los Angeles. We've had a daycare that we've worked with in Wisconsin, and in businesses all across the country that we've dealt with. So it's not one particular place. It's people in all walks of life, all across the country that we can help with. So if you got friends or family, use that number and give it to them. And, we offered a special discount here the other week. I'm going to continue that offer. 20% off of our services. We want to help more people, but it starts with you making that phone call. Mention, ask the experts. Man, I'm a great fan of Steve-O and Sophia here at Ask the Experts. That we do sometimes crazy things, and one of them is giving a little bit of a discount so that we can try to help you and find ways to put that solution in place to make your life a little bit easier.
And like I said, one of the reasons I love doing the show with Barry is I just have so much faith in him that I know that when our listeners or our viewers here in the California area contact him, that I know they're going to be taken care of. I have nothing to worry about. And it's just so nice being able to recommend someone, but also we're here teaching you. It's, you don't get this is invaluable. This is so valuable, the kind of information that Barry's giving you. And you know what? I think the most important thing that Barry does, he's going to allow you to sleep at night. That is the most important thing, and not always looking back over your shoulder, because something you might think that your case is really difficult. And when you sit down with Barry, he's going to show you what they're going to do for you. And Barry, I think what you do for people is so amazing. And I would be pinching myself every morning when I wake up going, I've helped someone else out today.
Hey, Steve, I got one better. It's not just you sleeping at night, but it's better than that. Your spouse, your significant other will be able to sleep at night. And there won't be tossing and turning in bed by your significant other, because you've actually stepped up and dealt with the problem that you've put off doing for maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years, whatever it happens to be. You've actually manned up and dealt with it. And now she can sleep at night, not worrying about, are we going to be able to pay the mortgage because the IRS levied my account the day after we got paid? You're actually doing something instead of just sitting back and waiting for the IRS or the other shoe to drop. We all know how that goes. And sometimes it's easier to ignore the problem and sweep it under the rug, or take that wonderful love letter that the IRS sent and put it in the circular file. And it doesn't go away. You can't sweep it under the rug. It's going to be out there. If you go to sell your house and there's equity, they're going to take it. Why have that situation out there when you can actually find a good, solid solution to that tax debt, to that problem, that allows you and your wife and your family to relax and sleep and not be looking over your shoulder or worrying. And that's what it's all about.
You might have a family member, Barry, say in Shreveport, Louisiana. Barry can help them. You could have a friend, a family member in an entirely different state, but Barry can help them. And Barry, I guess it always comes to the end of the show. Let's give everybody first of all, your website address, and let's give everybody your phone number again, too.
All right. So that is taxationsolutions.net. Again, taxationsolutions.net. And that phone number is special hotline, just for here, Ask the Experts. We've got people, wanting to answer that phone for you, put that solution in place for you, let you sleep at night. And that is 888-931-1079. Again, that's 888-931-1079. Just think of it this way. That is the hotline to good night's rest and good sleep for both you and your spouse. Again, 888-931-1079. That's your hotline right here for Ask the Experts.
Barry will be back with us again next month on the Ask the Expert Show. Barry, thank you so much. I love you, bro.
And Steve, well, thank you. And we got to get together sometime soon.
I would love that. Thanks so much, Barry. It's Barry Fowler,
Thank you.
Taxation Solutions. Barry will be back again with us next month with more. And that'll do it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thank you, Rebel.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.